Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. This is the Kane County Metra Board Appointment Committee. I'm Chairman Drew Fraz from the County Board. It's Wednesday, April 7th, 2021. And we are joined by Tom Rickert from KDOT and Chairman Pirogue, as well as Mr. Dinwiddie, who is one of the applicants, is in the chamber. And welcome. And our board members, we're also joined by Board Member Caius and our committee, and Mr. Shepro from the board, and our actual committee members are myself, Dr. Iqbal, and Mr. Tepe. So welcome everybody, and could I have a roll call?
Iqbal,
Present.
Tepe,
Present.
Kraus.
Here. Okay, we're all in attendance. We have no minutes to approve since this is our first meeting. Is there any public comment? Anybody in the gallery that would like to speak? It looks like not. And anybody online? Nobody has signed up online, so no public comment. Item 5A, new and unfinished business. Our task is to make a recommendation to the chairman of the county board for ratification by the full county board to appoint someone to the Metra board. The position has been vacant for about a year or so. And, if you look, Tom Rickert has put together several pages of information just for some background for all of us on what the job entails. But briefly, the person that we appoint will become a full voting member of the Metra board. Their job is to not only represent Kane County, but vote on all matters before that board. There is a salary of $15,000 and is prorated by the number of meetings attended per year. And the term is 3 years. And we're well into the first year already on that. And there is a monthly meeting with meeting prep and interactions with staff in between those meetings, but generally a monthly meeting, which is on a weekday. Our goals are to find a person that has the interest and the time to commit to the position, has knowledge of Kane County and also the Kane County Board and KDOT and its transportation goals. Somebody that has good judgment and the ability to work as a team member. And I always think that it's important to expect that when we appoint somebody, they will fulfill the entire term, barring an emergency. We have 12 applicants, and we are just given a 13th applicant, Sean Michaels, the current chairman, the current village board president of Sugar Grove, who will not be in that position much longer, has applied. So we do have 13 applicants. What I'm proposing is that we review these applicants, and I would ask you to submit to me your top 3 recommendations from the 13. If you could do that by the end of business on Monday, we'll then try and compile a list of the 3 finalists and then schedule a day of a meeting, interviews of those top 3, and then discussion and possibly a formal meeting as part of that interview process to make a recommendation. So if things go well, we would just have this meeting and one other, but we can add meetings as needed. Comments from the members of the committee at this point? We have the option of going into closed session if you want to do kind of a first blush review or discussion of, our top 3 picks. We have that option, but otherwise, Madam Chairman, did you have any comments?
Yes, I do. Thank you. It has been recommended.
Remember your microphone? It wasn't picking you up.
There we go.
There you
Hi.
go.
It has been recommended by Skip Benz. He is the William Skip Benz, the Chief Audit and Ethics Officer from Metra, would like to take a look at the resumes and do some vetting for our top 2 candidates. He will then make recommendation back to the committee just to make sure that they are qualified and meet all their specifications.
Okay, so if the members, and you can submit them to me, today if you want, but if you submit me your top 3, I'll look at those and then confer with the committee members individually and come up with a top 3, but then we will have to submit them to Metra's counsel for review.
As a recommendation.
And I think that would be a good thing. And hopefully they can turn them around relatively quickly. So, but that's my comments. So I'm open to anybody on the floor. Dr. Iqbal?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have comments in the same line as raised. First of all, the conflict of interest. Based on the brief review of the resumes, I find one candidate who has conflict.
Okay.
And if we can submit it to Metra before we even look at it, that would be great.
Okay. Maybe we should go into executive committee quickly after initial comments and we can talk about
Yeah.
that person.
And about the procedure, you mentioned that we will have 3 finalists and everyone probably would submit 3 names. Those ballots, I would like to know if they are open or closed in the way that public can know, or we will know who voted for whom or not, or is it only you who would know?
No, we can, I guess what I'd like to do is I could talk to you each separately and say, this is how it's looking. What do you think? But yeah, ideally we'd have a real decisive top 3, but if it's not the case, we may have to take another step.
Okay.
Mr. Shepro?
Sorry. My belief is that if you have such a thing as a written memorandum, once a decision has been made, they would be, I believe, foiable,
Okay,
similar to applicants for any other position. So
okay. And Dr. Iqbal, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
you
okay.
weren't done
Yeah,
with your comment.
No, this is before we select 3. I mean, who are those 3? Who voted for whom? That's a procedural issue within the committee.
Yeah.
The third one is whether the votes would be cumulative or not. Could one person vote for all 3 votes for one candidate, or he has to pick 3? That's it.
Well, I guess what I'd like to do is come back for another meeting. Well, if you each submit, the 3 of us each submit our top 3, I'm hoping that they'll line up, but if they don't, we'll have to have some discussion or an extra meeting before we schedule the interviews.
Okay, yeah, those are the issues that came to my mind.
Yeah,
So
no, I appreciate it. This is all happening kind of quick and we want to do it right and so forth, but Madam Chair?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the foibility of decisions, and perhaps Mr. Shepro can advise us appropriately. It's my understanding correctly that if it's in writing via email, if we want to maintain integrity of the committee, that would be best done in executive session. If we want to make sure that it has the opportunity to be open for foibility, then we should do it in writing via email. So that truly would be the decision of the committee of how they'd like to move forward.
Okay. I mean, we could always say top 5, and then it might be easier to whittle that down to a top 3 if each person makes a recommendation of the top 5. Would that make sense? Mr. Tepe, did you have any comments or questions?
Well, going over the resumes, I agree to some extent with Dr. Iqbal that there are some people in here that just really wouldn't be approved by the normal process, but I think that they would be normally eliminated just by the process that you were talking about. Coming up with a top 3 based upon my initial review of reading these resumes a couple of times can be a challenge. We've got some very, very qualified people. Perhaps we could do some of this in a closed meeting and have a discussion about some of the things that we could immediately eliminate. And then that would make the selection process a little bit easier.
Yeah, and that's why I left open a executive session. I'm more than happy to go in executive today, and we could do sort of a first blush review and maybe reach some kind of consensus relatively quickly, or at least whittle it down. But if that's the direction of the committee, that's what we'll do. Mr. Tepe?
One thing is that on one of the letters, I noticed that somebody was suggesting that elected officials be excluded from our discussions. Is that something that we should consider or discuss or?
Well, I know I had this discussion with Tom at staff. You know, we have two mayors now that have applied. And, you know, the question becomes more a case of salary, if they can legally receive two salaries, if they're getting a salary to be a mayor and then a salary for this position, they may have to forego that, but we would almost have to rely on legal counsel or the Metra counsel to answer that question.
The,
But there's no problem with conflict associated with that.
No, I know that, for example, the tollway board, there's a lot of mayors on that. The previous Aurora mayor was on that for quite a long time. So, Mr. Shepro?
I recall, and I think these were just press reports, so you could take that for what it's worth, is that I think the Metra General Counsel or somebody said that there is language in the statute that one could argue says that mayors or elected officials should not be there, but that they interpreted it as you have suggested, that you simply can't collect like double pay for the time period. The individual who raised the issue in his resume will not be in a elected position after the first meeting in May.
Yeah,
So
so
I-
that leaves us really with one.
Mm.
But Tom Rickert, did you, you had mentioned that aren't there currently some mayors on the
There's at least one mayor that's currently on the Metra board.
So it
yes.
appears that I think we could move
Okay.
forward
Yeah.
with a clear conscience on if we make a recommendation, but then we would have to determine if that person moved to the number one spot, we'd have to determine if they could take a salary or not.
And I do happen to have a copy from our state's attorney, and this is the 3615/3B.02 Commuter Rail Board. Yeah, it's, I think it's their bylaws. So,
Know it well.
so let me read what was highlighted. No director, while serving as such, shall be an officer, a member of the board of directors, or trustee of an employee of any transportation agency, or be an employee of the state of Illinois or any department or agency thereof, or of any county, municipality, or other unit of local government, or receive any compensation from any elected or appointed office under the Constitution and laws of Illinois.
Okay, so if you read that,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why, when I read the newspaper story and looked at the statute, honestly, I thought that the position that Metro was taking didn't meet the statute. And I, but it's true, there's at least one mayor currently on, and I think there've been two.
was that the document that Mr. Scheidel from KDOT sent out?
This is, there's, this document actually comes from our state's attorney
Okay.
as review of the comments made.
Did the other board members receive that? If not, we'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So I guess I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session and we could do a first blush review. Dr. Iqbal moves, Mr. Tepe seconds. Roll call.
For the purposes of the
For the
record, we
purpose
should
of-
state the purpose, which is I
Go into
believe,
executive
the
session to this.
appointment, consideration of appointment of a specific individual.
Okay, so
So-
the motion is to go into executive session for discussion of appointment. And if the motioner and the seconder are okay with that, then we'll do a roll call.
Iqbal,
Yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Bras,
Yes. Okay, we'll move into executive session. Okay, we're back in open session and again, I will repeat the consensus of the committee is that the three committee members, Dr. Iqbal, Mr. Tepe, and Chairman Fraz, will each, out of the 13 applicants, we will make a list of our top 5, hopefully by Monday, end of business Monday. And Chairman Fries will review those and individually discuss with the other members what the, maybe reach a consensus then on the top 3 individuals to invite for interviews. And then we'll then send those 3 names and resumes to the Metra Council, Mr. Benz, for him to vet those. And once that's all done, we will pick the date for the interviews and set them up. And we have the option of doing the interviews, then convening another meeting, or we can do the interviews and then convene a meeting thereafter, possibly, and make a decision right there. But we'll talk about that as things progress forward.
And just a clarification of the date, it's April 12th, is that Monday?
For 12th for what?
The submission.
Yeah, the submission is this coming Monday.
But-
I'm sorry, the board,
Yes,
the
no,
committee member submission would be end of business this coming Monday,
but what's the date? Is that the
That's the
12th?
12th.
12th.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So Monday, the 12th, end of business, and then I'll compile those and call you individually, and we'll hopefully come up with a consensus on the top 3.
If I might venture a suggestion, because of the FOIA issue, I would urge everybody to submit names and not any commentary.
Okay,
I mean, they can talk to you about it, but
yeah, so
yeah, but
we'll do that. Any other comments or questions from the committee? From outside the committee or online? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Tepe, second by Dr. Iqbal. All in favor, say aye.